Hi guys, I'm Tasha and I'm here today with Sharon. Say hello, Sharon.
Hi, Tasha.
So, just to let you know, guys, we have a little bit of a delay. So, if we have awkward pauses, that's why. It's not really awkward, it's just a delay. Okay, so Sharon, I just recently met online, and she has got a really great story about her health and reversing type 2 diabetes, and I thought you needed to hear it. So she's going to be making videos in the future. She wants to help other diabetics, and so I just wanted to introduce you to her. And so, at the end of the video, you can check down below and find her link. It will be in the description box. So that will take you to where you can find Sharon. So let's get started. Just as an introduction to Sharon, she reversed her type 2 diabetes eating a fruit-based diet, low-fat, vegan, all raw at the time. And stuff's popping up on my screen. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so Sharon, why don't you tell us about it? Can you tell us just a little bit about your health history and how this whole thing started?
Well, hi, I'm Sharon, and I used to have pretty severe type 2 diabetes, and it was only in my early 20s, and I was not even overweight. So it seems pretty uncommon, but the way our society and culture eats, that has a lot to do with it. So my A1C used to be 9.0, and I had blood sugars in the 200s and 300s. And even though I did get on metformin, it was not enough to bring my A1C down or really help me to cure my diabetes. And so kind of the medical approach to that was just to take, medicine and more medicine, and my doctors recommended for me to be on a low carbohydrate diet. And so I did the low carb, and I was very, very strict with it. And it kind of helped at first for like a couple of weeks. It brought the blood sugars down some, but then they gradually went back up. So, it brought it down to 150, but then a couple weeks later it'd be 180 all the time, and then back up to the 200s and back up to the 300s eventually, even though I didn't stray from what they recommended. So I discovered the 80-10-10 diet, and I read the book, and I decided to switch to vegan and low-fat and raw overnight. And I did that. So no transition for me at all. And I noticed within a couple of days that my blood sugar had dropped significantly, and I lowered my metformin, and then within 10 days I was off the metformin with perfect blood sugar. So all of a sudden I was getting blood sugars in the 80s, and I hadn't seen those numbers in years. And what I was eating was primarily fruit and some leafy greens, and I didn't add in any nuts for the first month because I really wanted to give my body the chance to clear out all of the excess fat covering my insulin receptors so that my insulin receptors could work correctly again. And from there, my blood sugar stayed under 100, and that has been over a year and a half now.
That's amazing. In 10 days.
In 10 days, my blood sugar went it was around 80, and it hasn't really been higher than 100 since then.
That's so awesome. So one thing that impressed me about Sharon is she knows her science about all of this stuff. We were in some conversations on the Diabetes and Fruit Facebook group, and she uses, big words that I'm not so good with. So I'm looking forward to what she has to share on her videos. So how did you find out about the fruit-based diet?
Well, at the time, I had a condition called seborrheic dermatitis, and so I had this red rash all over my face, neck, chest, scalp, and even on my legs. And it developed after antibiotics, so I think it had something to do with that too. But I went to the doctor, and the dermatologist told me that the only thing that they could do for me for seborrheic dermatitis is to give me lots of steroids. They wanted me to take shots of steroids and pills of steroids and have these like creams of steroids, and that seborrheic dermatitis will never go away, and I'll have it for life, and it'll only get worse, and I can only manage it. And that's what I was told by the doctor. And, I mean, that just seemed really unacceptable to me. And so I researched online, and I found a Facebook group for seborrheic dermatitis. And somebody mentioned to me that they tried the 80-10-10 diet, and it got rid of it really quickly. And so I was going to try it for that. I dedicated myself. I was going to do it for 3 days and see if it helped with the seborrheic dermatitis. And not only did it go away, but all of a sudden my blood sugar was all of a sudden under 100 in just a few days. And it was actually going too low, and I had to get off the medication pretty quickly because I couldn't eat the optimal diet and take a blood sugar lowering medication. It just didn't work together. And so if you are interested in that, I would highly recommend working with a doctor because or, really closely monitoring yourself. I was checking my blood sugar very regularly during this time and making sure that it wasn't going too low or too high, and just, really being very conscious of that and to make sure I did that safely.
So how often were you checking your blood sugars?
Because this was such a dramatic thing to me, I was checking it 3 or 4 times a day at the time. Now I don't even check it at all because every time I've checked it, it's been under 100 for a year and a half, and so I just don't even bother with it. I mean, if I wanted to see how I responded to something, I would check it, but now I don't really bother with it anymore. So it's definitely a big burden relief to not have to worry about diabetes. And just my statistics, like my A1C went from 9.0 down to 4.7. And 4.7 is not even pre-diabetes. That is optimal and even better than people that don't even have diabetes. So that shows you like how big of a dramatic swing that was. And I didn't get that checked until I'd already been on this lifestyle for about 5 months. So I didn't get my A1C checked every day, but I did check my blood sugar every day, several times a day, and I could see that it was doing what it was supposed to be doing. And that wasn't my only health condition. I also had other issues too. I had autoimmune disease called mixed tissue disease, and for me it caused me to have Raynaud's, and that's like where your blood vessels constrict, and so like your hands and feet can get really too cold and turn colors and stuff like that too. And that took about 8 months to go away for me. I never even thought that was curable or anything, but that went away. And I had pretty severe allergies my whole life as well. And I was on allergy medicine just so that I wouldn't have sinus infections all the time. Without allergy medicine, I had sinus and ear infections just all the time. I had asthma. I would go into anaphylactic shock around certain plants and things like that. And about 10 months into the low-fat, raw vegan, it just kind of had gradually, my allergies got better until I was able to get off my allergy medicine, and I haven't had any sinus infections or anything like that ever since.
That's so awesome. I know some people who do have the Raynaud's, and it hasn't corrected for them, and they've had to, actually, the one gal just found, it was like arginine or something was missing, and she added that in.
Maybe?
Maybe, I don't know. So she added that in, and it finally corrected it. But I don't know if that's what it was. But it was like a
Yeah,
nutrient.
I had tried that before, but it didn't seem to work for me.
That's really great that yours went away and so many other health conditions corrected. So you ate strictly low-fat, fruit-based, raw for the 10 months,
Hmm.
and then you continued to eat low-fat vegan?
Yes, I guess I eat mostly raw food for breakfast and lunch, and then sometimes I'll have a raw dinner or sometimes I'll have a cooked dinner. But when I cook dinner, it is like um, I grow a garden of organic vegetables in my garden, so I'll make tomato soup with carrots and green beans. So that would be an example of one of my cooked meals. So I try to keep my food very, very simple, just a few ingredients, and gluten-free, and just focusing on fruits and vegetables and leafy greens and a little bit of nuts
That's
or
awesome.
seeds.
Do you grow a lot of your own food?
This is my first summer actually doing a big garden, and so it's kind of an experiment for me, and I'm getting so many tomatoes, and I'm just having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I mean, I still have to go to the grocery store for fruit, especially because I don't have an orange tree or strawberry bushes or anything, but it does give me a lot of like tomatoes and squash and zucchini and green beans and carrots.
Very cool. So for someone who is interested in the science of what happened in your body, can you share with us some of your knowledge about diabetes from a scientific perspective?
Yes, and that's going to be my very first video, is I'm going to use diagrams and explain it in full detail. So this is just kind of the short synopsis. So in type 2 diabetes, your pancreas is still making enough insulin, but the insulin is not working properly. So in your cells, in order to get the energy into your cells, the glucose into the cells, insulin has to meet with the insulin receptor, and there's a whole bunch of chain of events that have to go through before that, basically like a door opens and the glucose can get into the cells so you can have energy. But when there are cytokines present causing inflammation, or there's a high dietary fat intake, that can keep insulin from working correctly. So, I mean, some people say that it blocks the insulin receptors, and some people say it's just the inflammation that actually keeps the different enzymes from working properly in that sequence of events that have to occur. But either way, if your diet is not optimal, it can cause insulin resistance, and then the glucose is not getting into the cell. And because of that, you need more and more and more insulin to do the same job. And that extra insulin has a lot of negative repercussions in the body, and especially for females in the reproductive as well. But I'll go into a lot more detail in that. But the main thing is that when you lower your dietary fat intake, your insulin can start working properly, and you can start getting the energy into your cells again.
Awesome. So, if anybody, do you run into people who say you shouldn't be eating all that fruit?
Yes and no. Some people believe that fruit is healthy, and some of them, see you with a big glass of orange juice, let's say, and think that that would raise your blood sugar. But I've found from my personal experience that eating a lot of fruit actually lowered my blood sugar pretty drastically. So I know that that's not true. But one thing that was really interesting to me when I did a lot of testing to see how different foods affected my blood sugar, and genetically modified foods affected my blood sugar greatly. So if I ate, when I had diabetes, a ear of corn, my blood sugar would rise maybe 20 points or something. But if I were to eat 1 ear of genetically modified corn, my blood sugar would shoot over 300, like 330. And that was like a fasting of 100. So, I mean, that's a pretty dramatic difference. And so I really think there's a big difference between regular fruit or regular conventional and organic produce when it comes to the genetically modified fructose inside of that.
Interesting. Very interesting.
But I really want people to be able to learn from my experiences, because even though type 2 diabetes genetically is like really big in my family, and I have grandparents and great-grandparents that really suffered very badly with it. And I got it at only 20 years old and not even overweight. I was able to reverse it with diet, and so I kind of know that it's not really, type 2 diabetes is not needed. I mean, it's something that the world can be without. And so if I can help people overcome their type 2 diabetes, I feel like I'd be doing a great thing for the world.
High five. No, wait, come on.
Oh, wait, there we go.
Oh, that's the delay. We would have gotten it if it weren't for the delay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine now.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Sharon. You guys, if you are interested in hearing more from her, I know she's got so much more to share. Check out the link in the description box below, and then, be sure to look for her popping up on YouTube. So,
I'm starting my YouTube channel soon, so I hope that I can help more people overcome their type 2 diabetes and get healthy without medication.
Awesome. You have an awesome story. All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to check out her website, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.